First-person shooters continue to be the favorite genre for millions of gamers worldwide, and as it's so well-trodden, the genre is full to bursting with bright ideas and gameplay variety. From militaristic shooters and large-scale multiplayer wars, to tactically rich sci-fi and blood-curdling horror. The games on this rundown prove that anything goes in the world of first-person shooters, so step aside Call of Duty, FPS in 2026 is alive with vigor, imagination, and innovation. Marathon. Whatever happens, Marathon will go down as one of the year's biggest shooters. Either it'll fail catastrophically, or attract and retain a sizable player base. The latter one seemingly unlikely, given its controversial development and underwhelming alpha reception. Bungie has been scurrying away since alleged plagiarism tanked the game's reputation in the mid-2025s, implementing changes from drastically improving game feel, like faster TTK, to darkening its sci-fi industrial aesthetic, reflecting the 90s original. Will it work? Fact is, for every Arc Raiders, you've got a Concord. With online shooters, no one knows which way the wind will blow. Still, Marathon's post-alpha overhauls might yet secure it a long future. Halo Campaign Evolved. You can't overstate the original Halo's impact. Revolutionizing first-person shooters, Halo Combat Evolved brought refined gunplay, intelligent enemies, and vehicles better suited for mulching alien grunts than traversal. Now, Master Chief's iconic space opera is returning, faithfully rebuilt and expanded with all new weapons, modernized gameplay, 2-player split screen, 4-player online co-op, prequel missions, and more. However, Halo Studios, formerly 343 Industries, still has a tall order. Halo Campaign Evolved's reception was mixed on reveal, with accusations of reused Halo Infinite assets suggesting, if true, that the remake isn't as authentic as it ought to be. Yet, crossing the front line to PlayStation territory for the first time, Halo's remake isn't just a ploy to entice new players nor level the shortcomings of 2011's remaster, but to cement the future of one of gaming's most important franchises. Better Than Dead. Games viewed through bodycam perspectives feel like they're having a moment. They're realistic, shaky visuals, so often the lens for brutal close-quarter shooting court controversy for being a little bit too close to the bone. Better Than Dead looks poised to continue bodycam's notoriety, but its slightly blocky, desaturated art, deliberately unnatural hand gestures, and gravity-defying floating shrapnel counteract the rawness of its peers, like Unrecord or Bodycam. It's a smaller-scale title, coming only to PC via Steam, but the responsive shooting and action movie-inspired Hong Kong setting suggests a game which could land a sizable audience. Resident Evil Requiem. When you think of first-person shooters, household survival horror series Resident Evil likely won't spring to mind. Yet, Resident Evil Requiem, the upcoming 9th installment, ships with an optional first-person view, and with tons of shooting at the hands of Leon in his action-oriented sections, we felt it worthy of inclusion in this rundown. If you need convincing, a quick check of the Internet Movie Firearms database, Requiem's entry lists 4 handguns, including the sawtooth-edged revolver Requiem that is featured prominently in the game's marketing, a submachine gun, shotgun, and a rifle. So in other words, enough firepower to blast through Leon's segments like an FPS horror. Let's just hope there's enough ammo. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. Saddle up, there's a new bunch of misfits primed to take on a zombie horde. Yes, on paper you've already seen John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, but this upcoming 4-player shooter from Saber Interactive does have a few aces up its sleeve. It'll be deploying the studio's Swarm engine, which was used to great effect in Saber's other efforts in Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Also in the developer's oeuvre is Vehicle Puzzler Mud Runner, so you can expect countless moments where your squad must winch vehicles through sludge. Famed director John Carpenter lends his creative input and contributes to the score too, giving a distinct aesthetic to what is shaping up to be a mechanically rich shooter. Hell Let Loose Vietnam. If you can't keep up with COD, Hell Let Loose is the industrial war machine in which to spray your bullets. It's quietly built up a reputation as a hardcore yet ultimately accessible shooter, and despite a shift from tactical realism following a developer change, publisher Team 17 has greenlit another entry, taking the running and gunning out of World War II and onto a new stage, Vietnam. The explosive fury of Hell Let Loose's origins is re-established, with Vietnam a sweltering 6-map battleground for 50 vs 50 matchups. Multiple bands comprise each side, from infantry and recon to mortar squads and helicopter units, meaning this is a multifaceted, tactically varied conflict that'll suck away your hours once it all clicks. Defect. Finally, Rainbow Six and Blade Runner combine. Defect is a SWAT sim nestled deep in a dark cyberpunk world overrun with AI. I mean, of course it's overrun with AI, but set dressing aside, Defect packs plenty of variety into its dystopian gameplay. There are smuggling runs, assassination targets, and fugitive hunts which you can take on solo or in PvP and PvE co-op. Multiple warring factions imbue the familiar neon rainfall with chaos. This city's unraveling in anarchy, and you'll wield an arsenal of high-tech weaponry and gadgets to clean its streets. No Law. Like Defect, No Law is an FPS gripped by dystopian nightmares, and also like Defect, this one doesn't have a confirmed release date. That said, conceptually at least, No Law's development looks to be chugging along nicely. Here, you're a disheveled veteran who's a magnet for trouble in a metropolis. Locations are always characterful in cyberpunk fiction, and No Law's Port Desire looks a genuine rival for Cyberpunk 2077's prodigious Night City. So, prepare to leave your morals behind. No Law's branching story, colorful characters, and blazing guns mean it's primed to find a huge audience. Road to Vostok. This hardcore shooter is set in an apocalyptic border territory between Finland and Russia, and it's here, against dense pine forests and crystalline lakes, that you'll shoot, loot, and prepare for an expedition into Vostok proper, a permadeath zone where survival hangs by a thread. Road to Vostok might borrow Escape from Tarkov's structure and hostility, but the sole developers behind its creation is promising a deeply immersive experience away from the shooting. Dynamic weather, day and night cycles, and distinct seasons bring life to the in-game economy and AI factions. It's a huge undertaking for one person, so let's hope Road to Vostok launches to PC without a hitch on April 7th. Mouse PI for Hire. Combining the black and white charm of 1930s rubber hose animation with the confrontational action of modern-day first-person shooting, Mouse PI for Hire brings something new to the table. This jazz-fueled adventure might be too niche for some, but one thing's for sure, the hand-drawn animation is undeniably compelling. If the gunplay noir-esque narrative and corrupted assailants provide a more serious backbone away from the cartoonish aesthetics, then Mouse PI for Hire might land an unexpected hit for first-time studio Fumi Games. Launching March 19th, this one's going to be playable on PS5 and Switch 2, alongside PC as well. Exkiller. It's nearly 5 years since Paradark Studios revealed Exkiller, but in January this year, we got our best look yet at the action-adventure/FPS via an official gameplay overview. We already knew the game plants the gunslinging Old West into a scorched desert dystopia, but now, aside from piercing revolver battles, Exkiller confirms survival mechanics, inventory management, device hacking, and cybernetic implant exploration. It's a heady mix, made all the more complex by Paradark's pledge for non-linear mission structure. What's certain is Exkiller presents one of the most unique offerings on this rundown of new FPS games. Ill. Team Clout's Ill pushes realism to stomach-churning extremes. Aided by visceral dismemberment, abhorrent monster design, and claustrophobic interiors, this upcoming horror shooter is not for the faint of heart. What's most striking, however, is the game's physics engine, with bulbous, blood-drenched creatures moving with uncanny likenesses. Together, with suitably squelchy sound design, Ill might just break new ground for reactive body horror in games. Rogue Point. From the creators of Half-Life Remake Black Mesa, Rogue Point is a 4-player co-op shooter which indie studio Crowbar Collective says brings classic shooter feels with a modern identity. From footage shared, its colorful chaos certainly looks impactful, albeit laced with schlocky humor. This is more of a Sugar Rush one more run type deal, entertaining, explosive, and not to be taken too seriously. It's just here to have fun with your mates. Also, by the time this feature is published, Rogue Point will be out soon. It's coming to early access via Steam on February 12th. Witchfire. The dark fantasy RPG FPS blends extraction shooting with a roguelike structure, and it's been in early access since September of 2023. Now, its 1.0 release is on the horizon, launching in full mid-2026. If you've played Bulletstorm, arguably one of the most underrated FPS games ever, Witchfire is from the same creative minds, so you can expect tons of imaginative ways to slay your opponents. Numerous playable archetypes, a diverse set of biomes, and an array of enemies have given Witchfire a dedicated following already. Fully realized lore and complete story are all that's missing, but they'll be coming when 1.0 drops. Valor Mortis. Like Resident Evil Requiem, Valor Mortis arguably isn't an FPS game. Coming from Ghost Runner devs One More Level, it's billed as a first-person action Souls-like, an intriguing, unexplored undertaking if we ever saw one. Set during an alt-history Napoleonic War where the stench of death fizzes over sodden battlegrounds, you awaken with supernatural powers and a hunger to cleanse the mire of horrifying monsters. A saber is your primary tool, but you keep a pistol in your back pocket, blasting specifically at the weak points of larger enemies. So yeah, not an FPS in the strictest sense, but there is shooting, so it's in. Bonus. Next Call of Duty. Probably boring and more of the same. Oh well. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.